How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Kuf Yud Zayin, Daf 117 of Masechta Yevamos. Friends, we're getting close to the end, Well, today's Daf, today's Daf we talk about this woman who testifies that her husband was dispatched to Wellwood. So could she chapara in the ksube? So we talk about that. Then we get to some fancy mother-in-law, sister-in-law, daughter-in-law kind of stuff. Friends, it's like the end of school, like when you're a kid and school's over in a week and you just nothing can bother you. You see the end is in sight. Friends, the end is in sight. We're going to do this fast. I'm not getting caught up on mother-in-laws and sister-in-law. We're going to try to do that as fast as we can. And then we're going to get to another Mishnah about testimony, okay? Good. Alright, we're going to start off Kuf Tes Zayin Amud Beis, 3 lines from the bottom. Beishame om tinose v'sito ksubaso, Beisila om tinose v'lo sito ksubaso. So Beishame says that, so you have this woman and she testifies that her husband was dispatched to Wellwood, in the words of our great friend and colleague, our comrade, Reb Dennis. In the words of our comrade, Dennis. Let's go weiter. So, she testifies that her husband was dispatched to Wellwood, and then she gets remarried. Okay, so we believe her, she gets remarried. Can she chap arayin the ksuba? That's the question. Beishama says yes, Beisila says no. Let's read it again. Beishama om tinose v'sito ksubaso, she can get remarried and chapara in the ksuba. Beisila omrim tinose v'lo sito ksubaso. Whereas Beisila says yes, she can get remarried, but she can't chap the ksuba arayin. Okay. Amru lohem Beishama. So now it says Beishama to Beisila. They say, I don't understand. Hitartim erva chamura l'natu mamon akal. I don't understand. Based on her testimony, you're allowing her, we're concerned that maybe she's still married, maybe her husband is alive, right? And we're saying no. She says that he's gestorben, she can get remarried. So we're permitting Eishes Ish, which is in Erva, Isser Koris. I guess it's also Chenek and all sorts of things. So, but we're saying that based on her testimony, that's okay. We're not going to give her some money. We're not going to give her a ksuba, which is merely financial. To which Beis Hillel counters that, we see that based on her testimony, so based on her testimony, the now assumed to be dead husband's brothers are unable to inherit him. To get into chaparayin is nachla's inheritance, and that's financial. And we see that her testimony is unable to enable them to inherit their brother, and that's financial, and it doesn't go through. Amulayim Beis Shammai, to which Beis Shammai, what's in my ears? Oh, oops. Okay. Amulayim Beis Shammai, to which Beis Shammai responds to Beis Hillel, Valo misefer ksuba nomon. But one second. We could just look at the text of the ksuba. It says, Shehu kosiv la, that he writes to her, Shem tinasi la'acher, tidli mashakosov lichi, that once you are able to marry somebody else, you can chapara in the ksuba. So Kilu he Pashit writes to her, the husband writes to her, that if you're able to marry somebody else, such as now that you're testifying and you're and now you're allowed to marry somebody else, we trust her, she can marry somebody else. So it says in the ksuba that then you'll be able to chapara in your ksuba. So certainly she should be able to chapara in the ksuba, argues Beis Shammai. Because Beis Hillel lahoros, Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel then agreed with Beis Shammai that she can chapara in the ksuba. Excuse me, I put in my earphones, not my earplugs. Give me a second, let's swap that. Ever since I was in the United States, remember the Nudnik who used to play his games next door? So it was very distracting to me. And so I would put in earplugs. So it wouldn't work. I mean, I would still hear it, but ever since then I've been putting in earplugs to try to drown out. There's always somebody who wants to bother me. That, whether it's the Nudnik over there or the people in the park or whatever it might be. They're out to get me. It's a conspiracy. They want Babylon Talmud to burn. Friends, we should probably go fight her. Yikes. Amr of Chizda, says of Chizda, Nisyabma Yevamo nichnos lenachla alpia. What? Yes. What? Yes. Nisyabma what? Oh my dude. I gotta read that right. Amr of Chizda, says of Chizda, Nisyabma, that if she does Yibam, right? Because we said, right? What does it say? Meizbaili tinose, meizbaili tisyabim, right? That she testifies that her husband is dead. So if she has children, or if there are no brothers, she can get married to somebody else. If there are no children and there are brothers, so then she does Yibum. So in the event that she did Yibum, so she did Yibum, so then her Yavam, the brother who married her, can chaparain at that point can chaparain the inheritance of her ex-husband, of her late husband. Alpia, based on her testimony. Heim darshu medrash ksuba. After all, in the Mishnah, Beis Shammai was sort of expounding the text of the ksuba to say that if you're able to get remarried, that once you're able to become remarried, you can chaparain the ksuba payment. So we may as well expound the words of the Torah. Anulo nidrush medrash Torah. Will we not expound the verses of the Torah? Yakum al shem achiv. That that the pasuk says that they'll do yibum, and then yakum al shem achiv, and right, it says v'haya bechor. Right, we learned this was a drasha that we learned a way back. That the drasha is that whoever does yibum with her will be able to chap the nachla. Varekom, and they did yibum so he could chaparain the inheritance of the late brother. Amr of Nachman, says of Nachman, Bas levezdin, if this woman comes to Bezdin and she says, the Amra meis baili hitiruni li nase, and she says, my husband died, let me get remarried. Matirinosa li nase. So we say okay, and we allow her to get remarried. Vinosan la ksubasa, and we award her the ksuba payment as well. Tnuli ksubasi. But if she comes into Bezdin and she says, give me my ksuba payment, doesn't say anything about getting remarried, doesn't say anything about her husband being dead, she comes into court and says, I want my ksuba. Afli nose and matir nose, certainly we don't give her the ksuba, but we don't even allow her to get remarried. Her mind, she just wants money. We can't actually trust her for anything. My taima hakam adat the ksuba asoib. She's just coming to collect the ksuba. The truth isn't necessarily the most important thing over here that she's coming for, and therefore she doesn't get the ksuba, she can't get remarried. Fine. But they want to know. What if she says two things? She says, let me get remarried, and I also would like to collect my ksuba. So what do we say in that case? Do we say, well, since she's mentioning the ksube, that is primarily what's on her mind and we cannot trust her? Or maybe, look, when a person comes to Bezdin, they say everything that they know, anything that could possibly be relevant, they'll put on the table. Right, and therefore, she's saying, look, I want to get remarried, I'd also like to get paid my ksuba, everything that's relevant. She's telling the truth, but she also wants to make sure that all the relevant things are going to be addressed, and therefore she is trustworthy. And if you're going to say, look, she's trustworthy, and the reason why she mentioned the ksuba is just because she's mentioning everything that might be relevant in this case. So, what if she says the opposite? Give me my ksube, I want to collect my ksube, and also I want to get remarried. So, do we say that since she mentions the ksube first, so definitely she's coming with her ksube in mind? Or maybe do we say, look, she just didn't know, she didn't know what was the thing that she needed to mention. Is she supposed to mention the ksube? Is she supposed to mention the marriage? She didn't know. So she's just saying everything possible. So take Lamaisa, we don't know either, Lamaisa. Friends, now we get to this Mishnah which talks about mother-in-laws and sister-in-laws and daughter-in-laws. Oh my. Right? And I think I was thinking about that on Shabbos also, actually. Mother-in-laws and daughter-in-laws and sister-in-laws. Oh my. You ever saw that movie, The Wizard of Oz? I wonder if I've ever seen the whole thing. That's an interesting shaila. I've definitely seen parts of it. I mean, I haven't seen it in quite a while. I haven't seen any movies in quite a while. Over 2 years. Pretty sure I haven't seen a movie in over 2 years. Since Babylon Talmud. I've seen, I think, one movie since Babylon Talmud, I think. Anyways, so I definitely haven't seen The Wizard of Oz. But they say there, I think, lions and tigers and bears, oh my, or something. Mother-in-laws and sister-in-laws and daughter-in-laws, oh my. So everybody is believed to testify that a woman's husband died, chutz, with 5 exceptions. Mechamosa, her mother-in-law, uvas chamosa, the daughter of her mother-in-law, v'tzarasa, her co-wife, v'yivimta, her potential co-wife, right, the wife of her potential yavam, uvas baila, and her stepdaughter. Okay, so those people, it's assumed that those people have it out for her, and they just want her to mess up, so we can't trust her. Okay. Get what is the difference between a get and misa, right? Because we say, we're gonna learn Masechta Gittin, which isn't so far off anymore. Friends, we're really moving. We're like about a third of the way through Shas. I mean, we're about 2.5 years into Babylon Talmud out of 7.5. And that's pretty awesome. I feel like forget that. I was going to say in some ways it's like we're halfway. Or maybe. Yeah. Wait, when we say like a chomesh, a fifth is really a quarter, right? So I guess if we say a third, that's really half. No, I don't think that would work. Okay, whatever. I guess that would be like a quarter is like a third. Okay, that doesn't work. Friends, what was I even saying anymore? Yeah, we're like a third of the way through. Right, I was saying that we don't have that much more. This is book 7. Yevamos is book 7 of the 20 book division. So Ksubis is 8, and then 9 is Sota, Nazir, and Nidarim, I think. That's book 9, and then book 10 I think is already Gittin. Gittin isn't that far off. What's it, like a year maybe? Less? I don't know. Less probably. Okay. So we say in Gittin that even these women who we just enumerated in our Mishnah that cannot testify about, to say that a woman's husband died, but they would be able to deliver a divorce document to her. So how come? So Mabin get Lemisa. How come they're allowed to deliver a divorce document to her, but not testify that her husband died? Because in a document, the document is really what's doing the testifying, not them. So therefore they would be able to deliver this document. Okay. Now, what about the daughter of her father-in-law? We mentioned the daughter of her mother-in-law. What about the daughter of her father-in-law? Do we say that the reason why we can't trust the daughter of her mother-in-law is mishum deika ima desanyala, is because, well, since the mother-in-law hates her, because she's concerned, that if her husband dies and then the son will inherit the father, then he's also going to be inheriting, or I guess if both of them die, I don't know. If the son inherits them, the mother and the father, so then she's going to be like chapen arayin from stuff that the mother-in-law contributed. Anyway, so since the mother-in-law hates her, so then hinami sanyala, so therefore the daughter of the mother-in-law also hates her. V'achaleka ima de sanyala, but in the case of the daughter of the father-in-law doesn't hate her, so therefore maybe the daughter of the father-in-law doesn't hate her either. Or maybe we say that, well, the reason why the mother-in-law hates the daughter, this wife, is because she's going to chap around from the inheritance, and she's not pumped about that. So also the daughter of the meaning, I'm sorry. Do we say that the daughter of the mother-in-law hates this woman because, since her mother-in-law is, concerned that the daughter-in-law is going to be chapping around the inheritance? Well, the daughter of the father-in-law is also concerned that she's going to be chapping around the stuff of the father-in-law. So that's the question. Tashma hakon eman la'ida chutz michomish noshin. Well, the Gemara says, well, we say that there are only 5 exceptions. And if it was also the daughter of the father-in-law, then it would be 6, not 5. Correct the Gemara, but maybe we'll say that the reason for why the daughter of the mother-in-law hates her is because she's going to be chapping around from the mother-in-law. Well, she's going to be chapping around from the father-in-law as well, in which case maybe it's the same reason. If it's the same reason, so then really they're just one reason. So like adding the daughter of the father-in-law doesn't actually make it 6. It's the same thing as the daughter of the mother-in-law, so it's just really the same thing. It's still 5. But we have, what do we do with the Bryce that says, with the exception of 7? Well, that's Rabbi Yehuda. Titania, as we learn in the Bryce, Rabbi Yehuda Mosif af eishes of ve'akala. Rabbi Yehuda also adds a stepmother and a daughter-in-law. Amrlo eishes of arei b'chlal basabal, to which the rabbis responded to Rabbi Yehuda. So Rabbi Yehuda says 7, the rabbis say 5. They say, yeah, but the stepmother is basically the same thing as the stepdaughter. Kala rei bichlal chamosa, and stepdaughter and daughter-in-law is basically the same thing as mother-in-law. Alright. Rabbi Yehuda b'shlama chamosa sanyula l'chala, which Rabbi Yehuda says, what do you mean they're the same? I understand why the mother-in-law hates her daughter-in-law. The amra ka'achla l'girseni, as we said, because this woman's going to be chapping around from the inheritance that I contributed to her. Elakala my time sanyula chamosa, but why would a daughter-in-law hate her mother-in-law? Bishlama bas abal the sani leishasav. I understand why the daughter-in-law would hate her father's wife, because she's chapping around like the stuff that my mother, who's also that man's wife, is contributing. My time sanya levasabal. But why would the mother-in-law? Well, why would the stepmother hate this woman? Ela my mosif tarte. Ela my mosif tarte. Okay, but then, Rabbi Yehuda, why are you adding 2? If we're saying that the daughter-in-law and the stepmother don't actually hate this woman, so then why are we saying that they can't testify? Ela kala my time is signing l'chamosa. How come the daughter-in-law hates her mother-in-law? The megal livna called the avda, because her mother-in-law is telling her son, her wife, all the stuff that she's doing, and she resents that. Eishasav nami sami levasaval, and also the stepmother hates her. The megal lavia komada avda, because she's telling her father all the stuff that the stepmother is doing, so she also hates her. Rabban kamayim uponim laponim kein lev adam laadam, and the rabbis say meh. The rabbis say, look, the daughter-in-law and the mother-in-law are basically just opposites. They're the same thing. It's the same. They're just symmetrical, like the same thing. So they're included together. And the stepdaughter and the stepmother are basically the same thing. Also, Rabbi Yehuda says that pasuk is talking about studying Torah. That if you really go deep into the Torah and really try to go deep into the Torah, it goes deep into you, friends. Musar Haskell from Daf Kuf Yud Zayin of Masechta Yevamos. Kamayim aponim laponim kein leva adam laadam. That the deeper you go into Divrei Torah, the deeper the Divrei Torah goes into you. Wow, how amazing! Rav Acha bar Avya said, "Bob Ma'arava they asked her to sell chamosa abba leachar mikein mau." Can you trust a potential mother-in-law? So I don't know if it's a situation where if she potentially testifies that this woman's husband is dead, well then she might do yibum with the brother, and maybe this is another brother who then if that brother dies, then maybe she'll be the mother of that brother, and then maybe she might be his mother-in-law in the future, and maybe then therefore she can't testify about him now because she might end up one day being his mother-in-law. Do we have to be concerned about that? So mimaska daitu the mizbal v'nofel kamayovim. Do we have to be concerned that maybe everyone's going to die and someone will end up being the mother-in-law and she's going to hate her? Besanyala, she's going to hate her, or low, or not, tashma, come here. That if a woman says that my husband, she went away and then she says, look, her husband died, and then her mother, and then her father-in-law died. So tinase vitito ksubaso, ksube, she can immediately get married and get her ksube v'chamosa asura, but her mother-in-law cannot get remarried. We don't trust her vis-a-vis the father-in-law dying. My time, chamosa asura. How come the mother-in-law is asura? Lav mishum daminan lo baila mais lo chamia mais, is not because we assume that neither this woman's husband nor her father-in-law died, but the only reason why she's saying that they died is the kulkula l'chamosa, it's to mess up her mother-in-law, the savra levasashaita lotesi titztayon, that she says, look, I'll worry about it later when my mother comes back when my mother-in-law comes back all angry at me if they end up coming home alive. So we saw over there that she isn't necessarily she'll even sort of mess up based on future events, that maybe her mother-in-law will come and be upset later. So we see that even future stuff can be taken into account. To which we say Shaniosam Derogish Latzar, but it was different over there because since they were already married and it was already his mother-in-law, she kind of wanted to mess her up. But here she wasn't yet the mother-in-law, so maybe there's no hostility yet. Okay, moving on. Friends, let's get back into stuff. I know I basically just ran through that because I was just kind of over it, but let's this stuff is kind of interesting again. So Eid Omer Meis Vinises. Okay, so deep breath. So wait 1 second. Excuse me. So one witness comes and says that this woman's husband is dead. Okay, Vinises. So she got married. And then, now another witness comes and says, actually, he's not dead. Look, it's one witness against one witness. She already got married based on the first witness. She doesn't need to get divorced. Now, if one witness says that he's dead, but then two witnesses come and say he's actually alive, well then, even if she got married, she cannot remain with this other person with the new husband, because two witnesses just testified that her husband is actually alive. Shnaim omer meis, if two witnesses said that the husband is dead, ve'ed omer lo meis, and one witness says that he's alive, afal lo nises tinase, even if she hasn't yet gotten married, she can get married because two witnesses said that her husband's dead. The one witness is irrelevant. Now, Frekti Gemara, time of the nises, alon nises lo tinase. Right, the Mishnah had said, I'm going to read the first line of the Mishnah. Eid Omer Meis, if one witness said that he's dead, Vinises, so then she got married based on that testimony. And then, after she's already married, one more witness comes and says, no, actually he's alive. So we say, forget it. They're already married. She could stay married, implying that the reason why we don't take into account the testimony of the second fellow is because she's already married, implying that if she was not yet married, then maybe we would say, wait, hold up. One person says that he's dead. Another person is saying he's not dead, he's alive. So maybe she shouldn't get married. It's 1 and 1. So time of the Nises, implying that the reason why she could stay married to the second guy is because she already married him. Halo Nises lo tinose. But if she didn't yet marry him, and there's one witness saying he's dead, one witness saying he's alive, she shouldn't get married. But didn't Ula say that wherever the Torah believes one witness, such as here, Harekan Shnayim, then we trust them as two witnesses? And therefore, when the one person comes and says that he's dead, so we treat that as those two witnesses, and then when the second person comes and says that he's alive, it's 1 against 2. So this is what we're saying. If one witness came and said that the husband is dead, one witness came and said the husband is dead, and therefore they said, okay, she can get married because we treat him as though it was 2. And then after we said, okay, you can get remarried, she didn't yet get remarried, but we said you can get remarried, and we trusted the first witness as though he was 2. And then one person comes and says that he's alive, lo rishon. So no, she can continue, she could still get married because we treat it as 1 against 2. Two witnesses said he's dead, she can nonetheless get remarried, even though one person said he's alive. Eid Omer Meis, we said if one witness says that he's dead, so then she gets remarried. But then after she's married, two witnesses say he's actually alive, so we said she cannot stay together with the new husband. So Pshita, this is obvious. The first witness, I know we just said a minute ago that Ula says that if we trust one witness, we trust him as if he's 2. But, if 2 real witnesses come, well then we're going to trust them more than we're going to trust one witness who we're treating as if they're 2. So now over here we have a situation where one witness said that he's dead. She then got married, but then two real witnesses come and say he's actually alive. So we have to trust them. Obviously they can't stay together, the new husband and her. So lo tzricha b'psule edus. So here actually we're talking about where it was people who are not generally considered to be witnesses. So for example, if it was two women, right? So for example, if one witness came and said that he was dead, that the husband is dead, so then she got remarried, and then two women come and say that he's actually alive. So the chiddush here is that even though, generally speaking, women would not be witnesses, but in this case we're saying that if there are two women who are saying that he's alive, so then we assume that he is alive and they cannot remain married, but she can't remain with her new husband. It's like that whenever the Torah says that you can believe one witness, well then it becomes a numbers game. It's about numbers. So if one witness says that he's dead, so then she gets remarried, but then two women say that he's alive, so it's 2 against 1. We go based on the testimony of the two women, and she cannot remain married to the new husband. And we treat 2 women against 1 man like 2 men against 1 man, and therefore they cannot remain together. If you want, I will say that if it was 1 man who came and said that the husband is dead, and then, right, right, so 1 man came and said the husband is dead, so even if 100 women now came and said actually he's alive, they would be treated as the equivalent of 1 man, so it would be 1 against 1. Rather, the Mishnah is talking about Isha Meikara, that it was a woman who came initially and said that the husband is dead. And explained to Rabbi Nechemia in this way. Rabbi Nechemia Omer says, that whenever the Torah believes 1 witness, go based on numbers, and we treat 2 women against 1 woman like 2 men against 1 man. And therefore, if 1 woman said that the husband is dead, and therefore she got married, but then 2 women said that he's actually alive, so then she cannot remain married to the new guy. But if it was 1 man who said that her husband is dead, and then she got remarried, and then 2 women come and say he's actually alive, we treat that like 1 against 1. And we said earlier at the beginning that if 1 witness said that he's dead, and then 1 witness said that he's alive, we treat the first witness like 2 and assume that he is dead and they could remain married. If 2 people had said that he's dead, and then 1 person said that he is alive, so even if she didn't yet get married, she can get married because 2 people said that he is dead. So my kamash malon, right? So what's it coming to teach us? I don't know if it's all one question or if it's a statement and then a question, but the point is that, even if you're going to say that it's talking about psule edus, right? So 2 women said that he was dead, and then 1 woman says that he's alive, so we assume that he's dead and she can get married. But we already know that. We just learned that it's the same case as before, that when that we go based on the numbers, the bigger numbers. I may have thought to say that, look, when we go based on these numbers, it's to be stringent, right? For example, right, if we said based on one woman said that he's dead, so she gets remarried, and then 2 women said that he's alive, so they can't stay together. That's a chumrah. So maybe we'd say only to be stringent, we would go based on the numbers. But to be lenient, such as over here, when 2 women say that he's dead, and then 1 woman says that he's alive, to say that she could nonetheless get married even if she hasn't get married yet, that we're being lenient, where the chiddush is that we even say to be lenient as well, and she can get married even if she has not yet got married. Friends, that was Daf Kuf Yud Zayin of Masechta Yevamos. The Daf started off talking about the machlokas between Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai. Initially, Beis Hillel said that if a woman testifies that her husband is dead, she can get remarried, but she cannot collect her ksuba. Beis Shammai says that she can collect her ksuba. We then said that Beis Hillel actually agrees with Beis Shammai that she can collect her ksuba. We talked about 5 women who do not testify who cannot testify, right? Her mother-in-law, her mother-in-law's daughter, her co-wife, her potential co-wife, and her stepdaughter. Right? Those are, we said, even though they cannot testify about that the husband's dead, but they can deliver a get because a get is based on the content of the document. And then we had a Mishnah that explained that if you have one witness who says that the husband is dead and then another witness comes and says that the husband is alive, we go based on the testimony of the one who says that he's dead, because we treat one witness like two witnesses, right? If ever we are able to trust one witness, then they are treated like two witnesses, and therefore the second individual who comes it's 1 against 2, so we trust the 2 witnesses who said that he's dead. We then saw the opinion of Ibn Nechemia, who says that basically we could trust women, we could trust witnesses who are generally not considered kosher witnesses over here, and then it becomes a numbers game, right? So if it's 2, we trust whoever's more. So if there's one who says that he's dead, but then 2 say he's alive, we assume that he's alive. If 2 say that he's dead and 1 say that he's alive, so we assume that he's dead. It goes based on whoever has more numbers. Friends, that was Daf Kuf Yud Zayin of Masechta Yevamos. I hope you enjoyed. Peace out.